Hi, JAMBO. Welcome to Beyond 60. Victor here. And I'm all about redefining your retirement goals. In our last episode, we spoke about the retirement goals you and your customer, you as the advisor, should talk about. And we gave several other topics that you as a customer should discuss with your financial advisor. In today's episode, we are going to discuss about Generation X, Generation Y, Generation Z. All these generations have different characteristics as far as retirement is concerned, and we are going to demystify that. During my research, I realized some of us even don't know which generation we are in, and some of us don't even know our characters as a generation, and specifically towards retirement. So I'll start very, very simply with Generation X. Generation X are our parents. They lived between 1965 to 1965 to 1981. That is Generation X. That Generation X, if you look at my previous episode, I really tried to explain about the concept of retirement in that age group, in that generation. And the whole purpose of this episode is to make us understand what are the challenges that they faced and what are the challenges that we are facing and what can we do about it. That's the whole essence at looking at all these generations. So the people who had that characteristics at that particular time, they have a set of characteristics. And one of the characteristics that stands out is they are very calm and very productive. They work very hard. They want to be in a comfort zone where they work as much as possible. They are workaholics at that particular time. Those are the generation that we are talking about. They can work. Those guys can work, and that is why they have impacted us that capabilities of working. And that is why, as Kenyans, we are very proud of our parents, because that impact has somehow flowed back to us, to this generation. So those are the generation that, in terms of retirement, they are mostly now being paid by government as we speak now. The ones that you see, the pensioners, they are the current pensioners, as we put it that way. So at the end of the day, we have this whole generation again that was born between 1982 to 1984. Those are now called the Generation Y. And there are characteristics again of Generation Y between that time, and we are going to discuss about it. And then there is Generation Z or Z. They are from 1995, the people born from 1995 to 2010. And then now we have these now kids that are coming up, which they have a different name. But today I want us to look at the three generations and the aspects and the challenges that they faced during their retirement, or as they face towards retirement, and then what can we learn on them from them. Number one, Generation X. These are our parents. Our parents had different characteristics towards that, and the circumstances of the economy at that particular time was very different from what we have now. And sometimes they say the Generation Y don't work. They're very spoiled. Fine, we are spoiled because you guys worked hard. Sometimes you are not able, you are not there for us because of work. So sometimes we only see you, while working. Like for me, I remember the thing that I remember mostly about that has impacted me even positively is time management. My dad is a very serious time manager. When he tells you it's 10, it's 10. It's not 10 or 1. So that has impacted me in knowing time management, and he impacted us knowing and looking at how he did his work. He was always in the office at 7:30 every morning from the time I knew my dad was working. So that has as well impacted on me as well. So that I'm always early to where I work. I go very early in the morning. I'm a morning person. So that also impacts the way we manage time. And in terms of retirement, managing your time is very key, because as they say, time is money. So you can't afford to waste time in several other things, and you need to move fast, and you need to do things in a different perspective and in a different way of doing things. So that generation has its own characteristics. Remember, in terms of retirement, this is the generation that mostly worked for government. And in terms of pension, they were catered for. Even people looked forward to working for the government. But as they grew older, the system they used to save, which is called the defined benefit contribution. If you want to know more about the defined contribute, I've already done that episode. You can check it on our links below. You can be able to view the difference between the DB scheme and the DC scheme. You can be able to see that, and we'll be able now to see the situation whereby you have a DB scheme where our parents really depended on the government to work for themselves, and the pension was well catered for. So that basically means they were not contributing anything. That was one. Two, they did not know even how much they are contributing at that particular time. And number three, they didn't know when you retire, so how much are you eligible. So they were not able to. So when somebody works for 20, 30 years and then he's 50 and then realize, oh man, I'm 50. They realize, yeah, my kids are now grown up. I am now 50 years old. I have to think about my retirement. I have only 10 years to think about retirement. So what else do you do? When you don't have the statement, you don't have a way of knowing how else you will retire. You don't know how much you will retire for. And you have worked for 20 years. So that system, again, those are the challenges in between. But they have the good and the bad in terms of retirement. Remember, I'm only speaking about the retirement aspect of this generation and how it will look like. We are already seeing how it is looking like for this generation. So what we can learn from this generation is, one, we need to work hard for our money. And we need to start planning. Even we save even more than what our parents did. Because those people who organize themselves very well and they are really, really enjoying their retirement. One of these fine days we'll be able to get an old guy who has, retired well, and he will be able to give us insight. How did he do it? What questions did he ask himself when he was a young person, and what made him think that retirement is an important thing? And if you have an uncle or a dad, please comment down there. Let's see how we can work together and let's learn. There are so many things I cannot be able to touch on this channel, but when you have somebody, we get it from an old person who can speak to this generation, that will impact even more people than just me researching. And so if you have an uncle or dad, hit me up. We can come in and organize. We're able to see how else has he retired, whether he has retired positively or negatively, but he's impacting the whole essence. That's not the issue. The issue is, has he retired? So if you have somebody there who can be able to come up with the channel again, you can reach us to us and we can be able to learn something out of it. But the most important thing is, what do we learn from that generation? We learn two things. One, we need to work hard, we need to save more, and we need to know how much we are saving. Those are three main things that we can learn from that generation. Then we move to Generation Y. Generation Y, this is us now. Even me, I'm in that generation. And man, let me tell you, if we are not very careful, we will be doomed. Itagulo, itaisha. Because at the end of the day, we have to come up with solutions when we are young, so that we don't end up with the same challenges we are finding our parents in. Because if I look at the parents who worked before and now they are now retired, there are so many things that are not, that we may need to rearrange and reorganize well. One is about how they spend their time during their retirement. Because us right now, we are young. We might be thinking we have a lot of money, we have a lot of things to do, we are very creative, we move from job to job. Remember, our parents didn't move from job to job as per se, because there were no openings anyway, so people just stayed just like that. But right now, due to the internet and the opening of the world, there's an online way of working. So there are various ways of making money. There's entertainment has really grown, not like before. So you can really find a way of raising money at that particular time. But then again, what do we learn from that generation that we can learn, and that we can impact and use it to make better decision? One is that we need to be liquid at that particular time, so we need to save up more than even what they are doing right now. Number two, we have to save up we have to know how we spend our time, our social life. That's very key. In this generation, one of the characteristics when I was doing my statistics was that we are that kind of a generation that likes to be mentored. We are not we are creative, yes, but we can think a lot of stuff. We might end up thinking a lot of things, but sometimes we need some little bit of some mentorship somewhere, so that we don't overthink stuff and then overdo stuff just because we are creative and we think we know everything. No, we need to be mentored, and that mentorship, that's why you see nowadays there are people are advocating for mentorship programs, because we need the continuity of this country. Even politics wise, we need to have that mentorship, so that we are able to relate and try and find ways to juggle around and mentor young people to be able to realize we don't end up in the old ways of doing things. So in terms of retirement, that mentorship is very, very key. Number three, we need to learn from the X generation that we need to save up. So in this, the generation Y likes to have that mentorship. It's very, very important. And in terms of statistics, the whole world, generation Y consists of around 27. Is it 27? No, yes, 27%. That's accumulates to around 2 billion. That's 2 billion in the world today. We are like, this generation is 2 billion people. And with these same characteristics that we are having, it means in the next generation, we need to learn more from the Y generation. And we have different characteristics. We'll have another episode that will really, really discuss the behavioral changes of the generation Y and Z towards retirement. And that will be our next episode as we go. But today I just wanted to give a small introduction on that. And then we also speak about generation Z, or Z, if I may put it. That is now between 1995, those people who are born between 1995 and 2010. These are the people who are born with the internet. You see now, not like for generation Y. Generation Y, there was a part we didn't have internet. Some of us had a situation whereby we waited even for electricity to come to our home. You remember those days when we were being told, by December we will have the electricity. We are those generation. So at the end of the day, we are not really, we are in between the X and the Y inside there. But we hold some little bit of some hard work and some little bit of some creativity, and that is why you see there's a lot of creativeness and creative aspects towards system wise, towards procedure wise, e-commerce platforms. That's why you see the most people who are now governing and are able to really, really understand that and put in the work that is needed. It is because of this generation that we are having now. We're able to understand the challenges that we faced pre internet and post internet. So we are a little bit there, we are advantage. But now this generation Z, they were born into it. They were born inside the internet. They found the internet already, it has already expanded. We already have started a situation whereby we have even a lot of screens now. We have a lot of phones. We have now engaged into the internet world. We are able to transact online. Initially, people used to go to the bank and queue. You tell a young person right now to go and queue, tell you, are you crazy? I need my money now. I need to transact now. I don't need to go to a bank and queue for a long time. So it forced the internet forced things to work faster and to even think faster, and that meant that even people learned new things as well, both positive and negative, because we have seen now a situation whereby people are so glued into their screens, they have forgotten the aspect of friendship, the aspects of togetherness. Because one of the biggest characteristics of this generation is, yes, they are very social, but they are social online. That's why the whole essence of the social aspect is in the social media, and that's why we are here. Even this YouTube channel, we are trying to reach up to you because that's where you are, and we cannot really blame you. That's how life is. Life has changed that way. And some of this information, if we don't talk about them on these platforms, then we have not learned, we have not helped the generation. That's why it is important to, subscribe to the channel and be eager to learn. Don't just take a whole series and, finish a whole series and you don't learn anything from it. As a matter of fact, watch movies that, are educative. My favorite series is called Billions, and I like them. I can rewatch and watch again. Why? Because I want to really understand what is this aspect of the financial aspect that normally happens in the at the Wall Street and all that. I'm a documentary guy as well, so I'm able to learn a few things here and there. So this generation, it has some way of thinking prior to things and screen wise and all that. So it's an advantage because you can be able to learn as many things from as many people as possible, so that you're able to save up and learn, have as much as information as possible to be able to save up towards your retirement. Remember, my goal in this channel is to help this generation, because at the end of the day, I'll also be 61, or there are people behind me, our brothers and sisters, cousins, or whatever, and also do you. So if we don't speak about all these things, who will? And how else will we learn about organizing ourselves for our future lives? I think it is important to even learn from the previous generations and take the holistic way of retirement. Remember, as I said in our previous episodes, that to me, I think if we are very careful, we can learn a thing or two in terms of how will we manage our health when we are retired, when we are, we don't have the energy. When you're not hopping around, right now maybe you may thinking, I'll have that energy. That energy ends. If you speak to an old person, he will tell you, I used to run all over around, but can he do that now? He can't. Not because he does not want to, but it's just, he just can't. Pia age pia inaku limit kidogo. But at the end of the day, you have to figure it out where to live. That's very, very important. As a young person, put yourself in your parents' shoes. And I normally put this in a perspective, because when I was trying to do my research on how else can I be of impact and of value to you people, I study a lot of old people and how they do it. And my practical example is actually my dad. I'll keep on remembering because my dad is retired, and there are so many people who have retired as well. So we can be able to to learn something out of them. So we are able to see what did he have? By maybe at what age? Did he have a house? Was he still renting? Did he have his second car? And all that. You need to figure all those things out when you're young so that you don't end up messing up your life. As a man, you also have to plan your children. We don't have a situation whereby you don't leave anything. If, for example, if you pass on today, what will you leave your children with? As a man, you ask yourself, utaachia nini watoi? Like the famous saying, you say, utahamo siku. So at the end of the day, you have to figure it out. What will you leave with your children? Utaambia nini watu? Utafika huko juu uambie God nini, nimeacha nini? So at the end of the day, we need to plan for that. So as we go by, it is important that we look at this generation. And whichever generation you are, whether you're beginning or you're somewhere in between, this channel is for you. We'll sort you out. Don't worry. So at the end of the day, you have to figure it out. And you also have to look at your parents. I'm sure you have uncles, aunties, your brothers and sisters who are on different ages, and you can be able to view their lives and ask them questions. How do you think I can be able to work better, and how do you able to bring on? And we in the future will be bringing such episodes so that you are able to learn from these old people, so that you don't end up just hearing stories from me as well. You'll be able now to reach out to old people, and if you have reached old people that of this different generation, let's expand. Give me a call, send me an email. We'll be able to discuss more on those issues, and we're able to learn something out of this generation as we go by. And as usual, when you tell me to do something, your wish is my command. Thank you, and God bless you. See you on the next episode.